to election 2024, latest survey by the National Commission for Civic Education says trust in the Electoral Commission to conduct a free, fair and transparent election has significantly dropped.
Also coming up, fears over possible instability heightens after report shows Islamist militants fighting in Burkina Faso are discreetly using Ghana's north.
A lot later, another industrial action looms as Mortuary Workers Association threaten yet another strike. We have details for you if you stay with us.
Oh, those are the top stories this hour. I'm Kemini Amano.
And I am Mawina Egbeta. NewsCentral starts right now.
The Mortuary Workers Association of Ghana have served notice of a nationwide strike in November if their long-standing grievances over poor working conditions are not immediately addressed by government. The association, which represents the interests of mortuary workers across the country, is calling for urgent improvements in their working conditions, including better wages, a safer work environment, and the provision of essential personal protective equipment. The association is also demanding improvement in working conditions, including fair wages, a safer work environment, and adequate protective equipment for its members. Now, despite numerous attempts to engage the government over the years, the mortuary workers say they continue to work under hazardous conditions that threaten both health and safety. Well, first, let me apologize. Some of those pictures could be really disturbing. But let's bring in now Godwin Astedeba, who has done many documentaries on the plight of these workers and the failed promises by government to enhance their welfare. Godwin, it would appear this is not the first time these workers are making such demands on government. To what extent is their work conditions really poor?
I think it's actually a bag of problems, if I should say, because they have been going on numerous strikes for the upteen time. Anytime they come on the media, they're talking about poor working conditions, lack of PPEs, and it's really devastating when you go there and you see the pictures for yourself. I have been there some 2 years ago and recently did a follow-up to the Kolebu Teaching Hospital Mortuary. And when you go inside a facility that should be able to have workers work in happiness and freely, you would rather see mortuary workers battling flies, maggots, which sometimes comes out from dead bodies that have been there for a very long time.
Right.
When you are able to go to their storage rooms, you would realize that some of their refrigerators are not able to function properly to freeze the bodies. So it's just a lot of...
And all that without protective gear.
Absolutely. So if you get to a stage where you feel like this is enough as a mortuary worker in such a facility, you would have to use your own money to buy gloves, the aprons that they wear, and nose masks as well. And I mean, in a facility like Kolebu, which is one of the biggest in West Africa, it shouldn't have workers go through such challenges. So that is basically what most of the workers go through there. It would also surprise you to know that they've been owed months of salaries, and most of them are being paid meager salaries, as little as 300 Ghana cedis, 400 Ghana cedis. You would also realize that most of the younger ones who work there are just volunteering, because people who bring in their bodies will be giving them tips as low as 5 Ghana cedis, and they appreciate that. So they are not even professionals when you go to that space.
I mean, whose job is it to see that they are well tended to?
Right. So the Kolebu Teaching Hospital is an institution on its own, even though it's government. And when it comes to issues around the mortuary, you would have the CEO who would be managing the affairs of all the problems within the facility. The mortuary itself has a head, but I recall engaging the former Chief Executive Officer of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, Dr. Opoko Ampoma, who made mention of the fact that he has been to the facility and it didn't really have challenges. So if we can quickly take a look at some of the things he said, then we can proceed.
In a deteriorating state. When was the last time you went there and what did you see?
I go there last week. I was there. The fact that the morgue is not necessarily in a deteriorating state. What most people don't know is that if you go anywhere in the world, okay, most cities have got a city morgue. Okay. Now this city morgue is a morgue where if you find an abandoned body, hit and run victim, murder victim, or there's a forensic investigation, they have to exhume a body. Right. That's where those bodies will be sent. Okay. Now we don't have a city morgue in Accra. Okay. So Kolebu Teaching Hospital morgue has become the default morgue. Okay. So you always see hundreds of cases brought in. Now if Kolebu decides that look, these are not our cases, so we turn the bodies away, what will happen? Right. You see the kind of outcry that will be in society. But then we are storing all these bodies. Nobody pays Kolebu Teaching Hospital for storing these bodies. Right. No, we have to pay electricity bills at the end of the month.
So, looking at the place now that is serving as a city morgue, are there plans to renovate the place? Because you go there, waters are stagnant in there, flies hovering all around. Do you have plans to address that issue?
Yes. So there's a general drainage issue in that area. Right. There's a general drainage issue. So we've engaged there.
I see. Godwin, just before we wrap up our conversation, if the strike in November, in the absence of government taking any steps to deal with their concerns, what are we up against?
On September 26, 2024 was the last strike they had, and that was also the day we aired the documentary Troubled Morgues. We were hoping that the story would be able to trigger an action because we live in a country where they would want to see for an action to be taken. But unfortunately, it was called off in the middle of the day on the same date where they announced the strike. I'm not surprised that they are coming in again to say that they are going on a strike. And they are not calling for anything different. It's about conditions of service. The General Secretary of the Mortuary Workers Association, Richard Jordan, has raised concerns about the fact that mortuary workers across the country are contracting diseases such as heart diseases, kidney failures, and this is as a result of the chemicals that they inhale from the bodies. Because you have to embalm the bodies, they use strong chemicals and they don't have the right PPEs to protect themselves before they go into such an act, which is really devastating. So it is putting more of them at risk. So we've also been engaging him, and he's also been speaking as well.
That day in a year, Kolebu has got 3 people in just this year. They are all dying everywhere. So many mess. So everybody is sick at the mortuary. In fact, there's nobody I can say is physically fit. If we should do a test on all of them now, I can tell you, is either the person is visually going impaired, is either the person is actually having a problem with his waist because of the lifting, the legs, or the person is having some kind of kidney problem or maybe some lungs problem. We are working in very unconducive environment which is not fit for purpose. Many of them have been neglected beyond.
Godwin, the association has also been talking to you. What have they been saying?
Right. Before we go into that, the Mortuaries and Funerals Facility Agency, which is MOFA, was established under the Health Institutions and Facilities Act 2011, Act 829 by the Ministry of Health, and it is mandated to license, control, and regulate all facilities connected with the storage of bodies, transportation, and all of that. We've been speaking to Dr. Cherefo Yao Safu Emmanuel, who is the acting registrar of MOFA, and he made mention that it is not just Kolebu that has such problems. When you go to other facilities like the police hospital in other regions, those problems are very much visible. And for the Kolebu situation itself, it's very big. You would be surprised to know that they are channeling wastewater from the dead body straight into the Kole Lagoon, which ends up at the sea. And you get to the sea, just on the edge, at the bank of the sea, you see fishermen also fishing there. And
which is a story you've brought us as well.
Absolutely. So MOFA made mention that they have been conversations with stakeholders to renovate the facility and also to extend an upper hand to other facilities as well to ensure that they function properly. But it has gotten to a certain stage where some monies will have to be released for an action to be taken. But it's stuck.
Nothing is
so
done.
He's been speaking as well.
Well, I've been into Kolebu several times. That is not how a functional mortuary should be. Right. It should be better than this. Be it as it may. The challenges of Kolebu is not peculiar to Kolebu, and Kolebu alone cannot solve it as a hospital. One will expect that Kolebu State is better than it is now. But it takes money. And if you are collecting all these bodies and no one is paying for them, how do you run an effective and a very proper morgue? There are even bodies that the police officers that brought their case or handling the case are on pension, and they've forgotten about the case. Nobody is doing the case. As a nation, there should be a national discussion on how to fund these unclaimed bodies and other bodies that have no owners, unidentified bodies that happen to be in our morgue. Recently, we had floods. You wouldn't believe the amount of bodies that was sent to Kolebu after the floods. The numbers are huge. Police hospital is facing similar challenges. So that the issue becomes a cyclical issue, and nobody is ready to pick up blames. But it's not about blames. It's about coming together as a collective, collectively as stakeholders who have interest. And these things that happen have public health implications on whatever we are doing as a nation. Currently, all the fridges in Kolebu is down about at 0 it cuts. Why does it cut? It cuts because at this time, because there's a lot of post-mortem that goes on, it takes a longer time to freeze the body and defreeze. It will take a longer time. So if we have a freezer for these unidentified bodies, it will reduce the stench. But I'm saying that eventually there should be some budgetary allocation to solve this problem.
Oh, Godwin, thank you for bringing us this story. Are we going to see a repeat of your documentary on assignment, perhaps?
Absolutely. I would have a conversation with
Indeed. It will, it will remind us of what we could be facing if we don't deal with their concerns. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Cameron.
Godwin Asedeba is a reporter here at TV3. We've been talking about the Mortuary Workers Association, who are threatening a strike if government does not attend to their concerns about poor work conditions. Attention to some other stories now. We'll turn attention to politics, is it, Moina?
Absolutely. Where trust in the Electoral Commission to conduct a free, fair and transparent election has dropped in a latest survey by the National Commission for Civic Education. Ghana is heading to the polls in 43 days in what is a crucial election with political futures hanging in the balance. The latest survey by the Commission on Civic Education, however, revealed more than 40% of respondents who have no knowledge about whether or not to trust the Electoral Commission. And that survey detailed a host of other matters. Let's try and walk you through it this afternoon here on NewsCentral. And amongst many things, the big question which was asked, whether or not persons trusted the Electoral Commission. That's going to come up on your screens right now. 42.1% said they trust the Commission. That's from 60% trust level. Over 15% said they do not trust the Electoral Commission, while 42.6% have no knowledge as to whether or not they should trust the Electoral Commission. But let's provide you a bit more in terms of what this survey highlighted and what it touched on. And amongst many things, they asked the question, what voters expect parties to prioritize in the next elections. Amongst many other things, education, employment, health, roads and infrastructure, and the Ghanaian economy. Those are the top priority items for a lot of voters in the lead up to the elections. Now, in terms of sector-specific needs, on the education front, they are expecting the parties to address the free SHS challenges and expand infrastructure. And with regards to employment, obviously the creation of employment and then more youth programs to aid job creation, amongst many other things. We'll touch base lastly on the economy, address the high cost of living, address high exchange rates, amongst many other things. And then, amongst many other things, these are the things that a lot of them are expecting to see. Let's now go into matters in relation to trust, where we were walking you through those details. 42.1% of that survey by the NCC suggests that persons do not trust the Electoral Commission. That's from a drop. That's from 60% in 2020. It's dropped to 42.1%. It's a near 20% drop. And then those who do not trust, 15.3%, and those who are caught in the middle, 42.6%. But let's look at the reasons these individuals have given for not trusting the Electoral Commission and the work that they are doing. And amongst many other things, they have reservations with the EC's leadership in handling the elections. They also raised concerns about the appointment of the leadership of the Electoral Commission, making the argument that it can affect elections negatively. And then they have lost trust in the EC in exhibiting transparency in the declaration of results. But we juxtapose this latest survey with Global Info Analytics poll for October with regards whether or not the respondent trusted the Electoral Commission. There's a bit of a disparity in that front, where 60% of respondents from the Global Info Analytics poll said they trusted the Electoral Commission, 33% said they did not trust the Electoral Commission, with 7% caught in the middle. Let's bring in Mark Ewusi, who is with Elections Watch Ghana, find out from him what they make of the latest we're learning from the National Commission for Civic Education. Mr. Ewusi, thank you very much for speaking to us. Does it come to you as a surprise, this detail captured in the latest survey by the NCC?
Well, good afternoon to you and to our cherished viewers. This is not too much of a surprise to me, because Election Watch have consistently been commenting about the conduct of the Electoral Commission when it comes to its level of transparency, its accountability, and the fairness that is expected of it as a referee to exhibit. Unfortunately, we have not seen that. If you could recall, ECOWAS have also predicted that there's going to be some violence in the 2024 general election due to mistrust. And we can look at some of the mistrust things that comes with mistrust. You know very well that it decreased civic engagement, which is very, very detrimental to our democracy. In fact, we need to be very careful that we do not lose the very democracy we are practicing based on some of these revelations that are coming. If we are going for an election and we have about 15% of the people who do not have trust in the Electoral Commission, and we have over 46% who are undecisive whether to trust the Electoral Commission or not, I will put the people who are undecisive and those who do not trust the Electoral Commission together. And we are hitting towards 61.5%, which is very, very dangerous to our democracy. And I think that the Electoral Commission should do more. I heard what you were saying, that the reasons for which people do not trust the Electoral Commission has to do with the appointment that His Excellency Nana-Addo has made to the commission. And certainly, an independent organization like that shouldn't be mad with political appointees. And that is what the president and his people have failed to address. For that matter, we are seeing what we are seeing.
But aren't some of these sentiments from the opposition NDC which has been sown deeply into their supporters? Because if you peruse this NCC document a bit more, the perception of mistrust grows a lot more in strongholds of the opposition NDC. That possibly could be the party's running battle with the Electoral Commission over a number of things fueling this perception, and not really the general perception of Ghanaians.
I think that there is not just the perception within the strong zones of the NDC. If you recall,
looks like the internet connection.
The demonstration that was an audit into the voters register, you realize that.
Yes, you can continue. You can proceed, Mr. Ewusi.
Okay, so you realize that there were some MPP party people who were part of the demonstration. So it is a general view of the Ghanaian people and not just the NDC. We are not just looking at the conduct of the Electoral Commission only. but also some other institutions, state institutions that has to do with the Ghana Police Service, that of course, when issues like this happen, we expect that they come in quickly and to expedite some quick punishment to add to perpetrators of those sort of committed crimes. Do not really do that. So it is a growing phenomenon that is happening around various institutions that has to do with mistrust. And unfortunately, the Electoral Commission is seen to be one of them simply because it has a responsibility to do as far as the election is concerned.
And so what will be the expectation going forward? You've detailed quite clearly what the concerns are. The Electoral Commission has been seeking to bridge the gap and answer a number of these questions, even perceptions or challenges with regards printing of these ballot papers. They've continued to issue notices and adverts explaining into detail what they are doing. What more should they be doing to engender trust?
I don't think the Electoral Commission has done enough to engender trust in the Ghanaian people. If you recall, on your own media house, how many times have you played adverts of the Electoral Commission educating the population of Ghana? How many times have you played any other adverts educating the people? It is never true, certainly not true, that the Electoral Commission is doing enough. But what I'm looking at is that the Electoral Commission must come more open. It must be very, very fair and transparent. You remember the NDC, including other civil society organizations, raised issues about the provisional voter register. As we speak, there is no final register, yet we have gone ahead to print ballot papers. Election Watch have also written an RTI to the Electoral Commission demanding some specific information regarding companies that have been awarded contracts to print our ballot papers. There are some of the companies that do not even have GPS location. And this contract that was awarded to these individuals and companies I'm talking about were awarded on a sole contract base, which is not supposed to be so.
Right.
So, in fact, the conduct of the election, the Electoral Commission is so detrimental, it is so dangerous to our democracy, and we must be very watchful about that.
Mr. Usi, we'll leave the conversation here. I appreciate that you could speak to us. That's Mark Usi speaking to us this afternoon. It will take us on to our very first break here on NewsCentral. When we return, a conversation with the University Teachers Association of Ghana, who are intending to suspend their strike, demanding urgent government action to deal with the illegal mining menace. We'll provide you details if you stay with us. This is NewsCentral.
Over 5 million children have benefited from free SHS. Protect free SHS. Vote Dr. Baumia, #1 on the ballot.
You know, one bucket of Flamingo paint is equal to several buckets of any other paint brand on the market. Flamingo paint, superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo paint, simply superior. You know, one bucket of Flamingo paint is equal to several buckets of any other paint brand on the market. Flamingo paint, superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo paint, simply superior.
Luckiest star 712#.
Luck is everywhere.
Hey. 8K. Hey, you can get 8K. Get up packing from your man. One line. Hey, wait.
You can put it on his tab. This is my man.
Good luck. We'll with you. Star 712. It's put your phone. Someone dialing the magic star 7. Now welcome back. You can buy for your loved one.
Mommy, tell mommy who's here.
You're buying for me, right?
Choose buy ticket for
Love you, boo.
Get to option 4. Now, you need to buy tickets worth 50 Ghana to qualify. Yes, you can buy random or preferred tickets. I'm choosing random tickets. Listen, if you buy the random ticket, the system chooses a random number for you. But if you buy the preferred, you get to input your own preferred 5 digits. 5.
Baby, give me your 5 numbers.
And how much are we buying?
Babe, look at the body and buy you.
With your body,
So
Hey, there are. Tread cautiously. Now follow the prompts and Now, the luckiest.
The Luckiest is regulated by the NLA on the Caritas platform, not for persons below 18 years. T&Cs apply.
Papa Sammy, I beg if you find something small, give us.
Bro Sammy, you see, nobody say boys no one do nothing and just they rely on handouts. Just no deal.
I understand your hassle. Hope they come. John Mama, they come do the National Apprenticeship Program where it go sort you guys.
Brother Sammy, waiting with that.
John Mama knows say no be everybody will won't work for office.
Like me.
That one day is true.
Under the National Apprenticeship Program, young men and women where they won't learn craft will be enrolled under the program and attached to a senior craftsman who will train them for free.
I beg you, mechanic day inside. Me like this. I don't want to learn mechanical, but the course no.
Mechanics day inside. Organizing, dressmaking, fabric making, catering, hairdressing, tiling, painting. What they even sweet about this whole thing they say, when you plead, the NDC government go make sure say they go give you certificate where you go fit take go look for job anywhere.
That's sweet.
Oh, that's be one waffle.
Another one waffle thing be say, when you plead, the NDC government go set you up with startup capital and equipment to make sure you can start your own business.
Wow. I dey go shopping my town wait 7th December.
Vote for change. Vote for John Mahama and the NDC.
This is Key Points, the #1 award-winning television news analysis program, providing an enlightened analysis of the key issues facing us as a country.
The key points of the stories that matter with the people who matter.
This is Key Points, the #1 award-winning television news analysis program. Every Saturday, 7 a.m. on TV3 and on 3FM 92.7. TV3, first in news.
Welcome back to News Central. I'm Kemini Amano. Let's turn attention to other stories now. The University Teachers Association of Ghana's National Executive Committee has instructed its members to call off their ongoing strike effective October 29, 2024. UTAG, which has been on strike for several weeks now, initiated the industrial action on October 10th, 2024, calling on government to ban mining and prospecting for gold and any other minerals in forest reserves, farms and water bodies. According to UTAG, the devastating effects of galamsey on the environment, particularly on the water bodies of this country, forest reserves, agricultural land and livelihoods have been well documented. In a statement issued by UTAG National Secretary, NEC directed UTAG members to suspend the strike action effective Tuesday and to return to the classrooms.
According to residents, the miners are gradually activities to the
Well, let's find out why. We can now bring in General Secretary of the University of Ghana chapter of the University Teachers Association of Ghana, Dr. Jerry Joe Harrison. Doc, good afternoon to you. You were quite sure that your action to go on strike would bring some development, good development that is, as far as the fight against galamsey is concerned. What has changed?
Well, thank you very much. In reality, nothing has changed. We have to do periodic review of the situation and look at the way forward. And so when we met, of course, we all didn't agree on the way forward, but because of the fact that some people are out there calling themselves silent majority and all the various issues going on, UTAG triggered a process. If you recall, when we were declaring the strike, NEC decided that members should go on strike. And then members have to vote to either support the move or not. And so it is not for NEC to decide for our members, whether we should go on strike or suspend a strike. And so in the same manner, our members are going to have the final say in deciding whether the strike has achieved what it's set out to achieve, or we continue to remain on strike to continue to press home our demand for reforms within the mining area. But we all are aware that nothing has changed over the period.
I see. So, I mean, where does this leave members? Are members on strike, or members are calling off the strike October 24th?
No. So the strike is still enforced. Next decision is a suggestion to members. It is not something that's enforceable until all campuses, every single UTAG member would cast their vote to either support the suspension or for us to remain. So it's a two-sided motion that members have to vote on.
Well, I guess what I'm driving at is, does it appear that vote will be cast in favor of calling off the strike or otherwise?
From where I said, it's 50-50. I think that many people believe that government's lackadaisical attitude should not be tolerated, and that we should continue to be on strike to press home our demand for reforms within the mining areas. Others also think that because of the elections and the academic calendar and all that, we should suspend the strike and then regroup and then, and come back again. So the opinions are very, varied. And so we will see that by the 29th, when everybody has cast their vote.
When will that deciding vote happen?
Every campus is going to be voting. UG, for example, is going to be voting today. The voting starts in about 30 minutes and ends at 5. So by close of day today, you would know what University of Ghana lecturers are thinking, whether we should sustain the strike or to suspend it. Other campuses are going to be voting as well. So from now till Monday evening, you will see the results trickling. And then by Monday, we will know whether to suspend or to continue with the strike. So an official statement will be issued on Tuesday when the results have been collated.
Very well. Thank you so much, Doc, for talking to us. Dr. Jerry Joe Harrison is with UTAG Legon. And they have been calling for a long time now. They have been calling for an end to galamsey and mining in forest reserves. Now we're hearing that NEC of UTAG has voted against the strike. They're asking members to call off the strike. He explains that really a vote to be taken, particularly at Legon, he says in the next 30 minutes or so, that vote to be taken, but a conclusive decision by members will be taken by Tuesday.
In some more news, Islamist militants fighting in Burkina Faso are discreetly using Ghana's north as a logistical and medical rare base to sustain their insurgency. 7 sources were learning this afternoon a move that could help them expand their footprint in West Africa. The sources, which includes Ghanaian security officials and regional diplomats, say Ghanaian authorities appear to be mostly turning a blind eye to the insurgents from neighboring Burkina Faso to stock up on food, fuel, and even explosives, as well as getting injured fighters treated in hospitals. As you know, Ghana shares a 600-kilometer border with Burkina Faso, the country at the heart of an insurgency that has killed thousands and displaced millions, according to experts. They've turned the Sahel region into an epicenter of global terrorism as factions loyal to Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State group expand their presence. Let's bring in Mukhtar Mumuni Mukhtar, speak to him. He's a security expert, get the latest in terms of what we're seeing and what we're learning. He's executive director of the West Africa Center for Counter-Extremism, Mukhtar Mumuni Mukhtar. Thank you very much, sir, for speaking to us this afternoon. Not the first time, really, we're getting to learn of the northern part of the country becoming a hotbed for terrorist activities, but perhaps most noteworthy is the fact that our leadership is turning a blind eye to this development. How concerning is this, particularly the revelation of turning a blind eye?
Well, this is a worrying situation for all of us. I mean, of course, for security actors in this space, but it's not entirely new. The findings or what the report is indicating now, it's not entirely new. This is something we've been aware of in terms of the fact that there are situations where individuals extremist elements from the Sahel getting in and out of the country, especially the northern parts. In the last 6-7 years, we have seen the threat expand towards coastal states from the Sahelian region, and moving from Mali to the northern border of Burkina Faso, and now Burkina Faso is the epicenter of the terrorist violence. And we've seen in the last few years the threat move further southern Burkina Faso, which means closer to our northern borders. And if you consider the porosity of our borders, the families that are cut across the borders, it is a very real possibility that this cutting across the borders is a reality. And the fact that some of these elements come in here to seek medical care, some of them through the injuries and critical health issues, and also for logistical mobilization. So it's not entirely new. What needs to be done is that we need to escalate our counter-terrorism efforts, along the borders, and also more importantly, in partnership with our regional stakeholders and regional security actors, because we have to significantly move away from seeing it as localized security threat to a more regional security threat that has to come from a regional perspective in addressing it. And so I think that this is something, should be a wake-up call, not to just the traditional state actors, but for all of us who are tangentially related to dealing or addressing terrorism and security generally to confront.
But it's not really new, is it? This conversation of a regional approach in dealing with the Islamist insurgency. We've had the Accra Initiative. In fact, ECOWAS has had to, of course, to play some role in helping to deal with the militant insurgency, and yet still, it does appear that it continues to grow and grow and grow. Burkina Faso, about a month or so ago, saw over 600 individuals slain by these militant insurgents. What really appears to be the problem? Because it looks as though our leaders, yes, are aware, they are seeking to take some steps, but they are not doing enough to be able to protect lives and property.
You're right. Violent extremism is a very complex, nuanced security threat that requires a more nuanced and comprehensive approach to dealing with it. And so if you notice, in the last 2 decades, it has been a huge challenge to cause, anything success in dealing with terrorism. And so for a country like Ghana that is still very lucky not to have had local attacks, we're still in a very good position to come from a prevention perspective. And that allows us to mobilize enough goodwill from the local population and also among security actors, regional actors, and making meaning out of what we call the whole of society approach to dealing with it. If there are elements who are coming into our northern borders from the Sahel as terrorist elements, we need to have vigilant eyes within the community who are willing to come forward and volunteer information to law enforcement to ensure that we do not have this as a continuous, phenomenon that eventually would undermine our own security. And so we need to mobilize goodwill within the local population. They see something, say something, tagline. How useful has it been? How effective is it? How many community members are aware of what it is that they need to see to report, and to report to who, and how do we report? So all of this, brings to question how we've been looking at the threat in the last, 6-7 years of violent extremism towards coastal states.
And so what? The solutions that we're seeking to see, particularly for us here in Ghana, where we know that the north is a hotbed for terrorist activities, what more should we be seeing outside of what appears to be a non-challenge from state actors?
at the moment, we need to do more with our borders. I know this is something we've spoken on too many occasions.
Absolutely.
Our borders are porous. We may not be able to eliminate the porosity of our borders, but what we have in place at the moment is a very poor reality of what a border security management system should be. We need to improve and invest significantly, in our border security. Physical border security management as well as technology-driven security management. And also, we need to cultivate goodwill from the local population and ensure that everyone is on the same page in contributing to prevent violent extremism from happening within our space.
Mukhtar, thank you for speaking to us. That's Mukhtar Mamuni Mukhtar speaking to us this afternoon in relation to concerning revelations really about the fact that the North is a hotbed for terrorist activity, but it's not surprising information if you've consistently followed the news. What has been surprising, though, is the fact that this report raises serious concerns about leadership in the country turning a blind eye to the development.
Now, there's a strong push for an increase in taxes on tobacco products to reduce the high consumption of these products in the country. A civil society group, Vision for Alternative Development Ghana, is spearheading a stakeholders review meeting on excise tax implementation on tobacco, and Safwa Boahene is there to give us a better understanding of the situation. Safwa, good afternoon to you. Let's talk about this stakeholder review meeting. What have they been doing so far?
All right, Tamini, good afternoon to you and thank you. So this has been a stakeholder conversation by the Vision for Alternative Development, which is VALS, together with GRA, Food and Drugs Authority, and other CSOs who have been very big on tobacco because of the effects of it on the human system. And even though they are pushing so much for an increase in the prices of tobacco products as a result of the implementation of the Excise Duty Amendment Act, which was passed just last year, 2023, Act 1108. And that has already been passed, and the tobacco products have been increased, all right, but it's not enough. So they are pushing and calling on government so that there could be another increase, looking at the rise and fall of the cedi, the depreciation of it and all. So they want some draconian measures and taxes on the tobacco product. And we are being taught and told that there are about over 700 chemicals that are found in these tobacco products that are being consumed, and it can cause cancer, it can cause a lot of diseases and sicknesses to the human body, which is being consumed even by children and especially the youth, according to the research by VALD. And so they are just pushing that taxes are being dealt with. And there is also a call for a percentage of these taxes collected by the GRA to support non-communicable disease patients, especially the second-hand smokers. So there are some of the community who do not smoke, they are not first-hand, they don't experience it, but because there are people who are smoking and then they pass by and then they bear the brunt of that. And so they are also pushing for that to also be done. So far, these are the conversations that are being had or held at the stakeholders engagement meeting.
Tax are they looking at?
I beg your pardon?
How much more tax are they proposing?
So they are proposing that, according to WHO, they are hoping to have over about 175% of the real amount of the product. So initially it was about 0.02%, and now they want an increase of 0.28% and even more. And they said they can attest to it that some of the products have increased if you go to the local market. Initially, I think it was 2 cedis per 3 sticks of cigarettes, tobacco cigarettes. But now it has been increased to 2 cedis. 1 stick is 2 cedis, but they still wish it increases a bit more. And so it's still ongoing, and they are coming to a consensus around that.
Very well. Safwa, we'll leave it here. Thank you so much. Safwa Boahene there. You're watching News Central, and we're your election command center.
And like Kem said, we are your election command center. We're starting from the camp of the Movement for Change this afternoon, where wife of Alan Tremanti and supporters of the Movement for Change, they've stormed the Adan Junction Market, promising voters a better Ghana. Patricia Christabel Tremanti assured the market women of massive transformation if they vote for the Movement for Change, led by her husband. My colleague Joseph Armstrong Gold is on tour with the team, is joining us right now with a bit more details. But on your screen, you're seeing her move around the Adan Junction Market as they continue to do the same sign on your screens. Interesting engagement with 43 days to the polls. Alan Tremanti himself has been in the Ashanti region throughout this week as campaigns continue to intensify for who makes it to the Jubilee House. One thing for certain is we continue to remind you that we are your election command center, and as the detail comes through, trust that you get it with us here first. Armstrong has joined us via the phone. Let's get a bit more from him. Armstrong, talk to us about the reception Mrs. Tremanti has received at Adan.
Yeah, Moana, so currently the wife of Mrs. Tremanti is touring Adan area, and that is Mrs. Patricia Tremanti currently touring the Adan area. First, he went to the Adan Junction Market where he was welcomed massively, and he was assuring the market women of the modern market where when they give Alan Tremanti the nod to become president of this country, he will construct a modern market that will have a school, a modern market that will have a lorry station, a modern market that will have a clinic, market that you don't see that as it stands now. If you go to that market, the entire market is full of dust, and then she is assuring the people that should they vote for Alan Tremanti, she would vote for them. From there, she left and went to a place called Louis in Adan, big Adan area, the riverside, and also there she engaged the market women and also assure them similar thing that, well, they are going to get a lot of life jackets and stuff. And currently, we are heading towards the Adan Fall itself over there. We are told there's a huge crowd also waiting for the wife of Alan Tremanti. And as I speak to you now, it's like the people are beginning to buy into the Movement for Change campaign, and people are yearning for the T-shirt for the Movement of Change, and it looks like they're even in short of the T-shirt as it stands right now.
And what's the plan outside of today in terms of this part of the Greater Accra region?
So I'm told that next week, Alan Tremanti himself will be in the Greater Accra region. So what is happening today and tomorrow is the wife actually paving way for Alan Tremanti himself to tour the Greater Accra region from Monday, and we are told it's going to be a massive walk also in the capital city, that as we experienced somewhere last week in Kumasi, where Alan embarked on a massive tour with a lot of people moving to the streets and supporting him. Next week in Accra, Alan Tremanti, who himself will be touring the Greater Accra region.
Right then, Armstrong, thank you for those details. That's my colleague Joseph Armstrong Gold Alogba. He'll take us on to our second break for this afternoon. When we return, a bit more stories for you here on NewsCentral.
Charlie, these MPP guys, then finish us.
Mo, why they lament like that?
Mauli, you know they Ghana. The MPP tell we say that they can't protect the public purse. The purse safe, then Tifa, I want to protect the purse. Corruption, left, right, front, center. I not see some before.
This matter you won't talk for here. It turn one day one corruption scandal. PDS, Ejapa, Skytrain, COVID, stolen excavators. God save then take do them. See the National Cathedral. If you go, we for collect all our monies from them.
Boys, boil up. You guys for cool down. See, we go recover all our stolen funds when John Mahama comes to power.
In this Ghana, how you go do it?
Operation Recover All Loot. Oral for short. John Mahama go investigate all cases of corruption, then prosecute all those found culpable. Then retrieve all our stolen assets and funds.
They take develop this country. Shut up! Those way they run the public purse, where they still wanna land, they destroy wanna water bodies on top. Where they walk about, they tell we say make we vote for them, no. We for jail them all. Or they come like a kite.
Vote for change. Vote for John Mahama and the NDC.
Welcome back. Now, the Noguchi Memorial Institute for Medical Research has commenced exploratory research into a newly identified species of malaria vector in Ghana called the Anopheles stephensi. Speaking at an inaugural lecture as part of the Institute's 45th anniversary celebrations, a former director of epidemiology, Professor Kojo Ansakuram, emphasized the need for a collective effort to combat the devastating impact of malaria in the country.
Malaria transmission vectors probably have about 30 or 40 different species across the world and things. Stephensi is found mostly in the Asian countries. We have Anopheles gambiae, which is a very efficient vector. The difference is that gambiae, as was mentioned, lives mostly in the rural areas with clean breeding spaces and things, with sunlit areas. Stephensi is adapted to urban areas and may be able to breed in places where we think it's too dirty for Anopheles to breed, for example. So in our urban areas where we haven't cleaned properly and things, if we are not careful, it will colonize those places and will give us different problems. We know Stephensi breeds in urban areas from the work done in Asian countries and things. Is our urban space the same as the urban space in Thailand or something? We don't know. So that is why we don't even want it to get here before we start looking at all these things. So we can't go ahead of ourselves and says, do this or don't do this thing. Basically what we need to do is keep your surroundings clean, because when you do that, you will get rid of mosquitoes, you get rid of this, you get rid of this. As I said, cleanliness is next to godliness.
Now, with schistosomiasis affecting 23.3% of the Ghanaian population in some regions, recording prevalence rate of over 50%, the Ghana Health Service has launched a national deworming exercise targeting school-aged children. This campaign aims to eliminate and control child-transmitted worm infections, both of which threaten the health and development of young children across the country. Here's the Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Kumabwaje.
This initiative is a collaborative effort between the Ghana Health Service and the Ghana Education Service to promote the health and immunity of school-aged children. The World Health Organization estimates that nearly 1 in 4 of the world's population, or over 1.5 billion people globally, are infested with the intestinal worms, with more than 880 million school-aged children requiring attention. In Ghana, schistosomiasis has an estimated countrywide prevalence of 23.3%, with localized prevalence level exceeding 50%. This is serious, and I think something we need to.
Newly appointed Commissioner of the Ghana Revenue Authority has warned the staff of the organization who engage in corrupt deals would be severely punished when caught. He emphasized that the GRA is currently engaged in building its image to maximize revenue collection and will not countenance any acts of that may derail this effort.
Tax education. And this is something that the GRA has taken on board. We go to church leaders, we go to mosque imams, national chief imam, and so to encourage people to pay taxes. That is one very important issue. We have customs dotted all over the country. And we have, customs is a paramilitary unit, so we have the military units training the customs. And the other aspect has to do with revenue. So customs has to just 2 areas, the military aspect and the revenue aspect. And because I'm coming from the military, it's not a difficulty to have the military unit to train my custom officers in addition So these are some of the initiatives that we are putting in place. Another key area you have to look at is on custom vehicles. We have a lot of custom vehicles all over the country. Yes, so all we need is just we give some amnesty, and people were encouraged to send their vehicles, yes, and they pay the duties. That is a very big issue. Now, as we talk, we have some cars parked here on customs. Yes, all we need is the individual should come back, do the paperwork, and we'll give the vehicle back to the owner. And I mean the owner. We do not want to auction the car to any other person. The first consideration is the owner. But if the owner doesn't come and the vehicles are gazetted, then it means that we have to auction it to others. In this collection, using your platform to appeal to various stakeholders to urge and encourage our traders, our business communities to fulfill their promise by paying taxes. A lot of companies are indebted, so we go to encourage them to make good their promises in terms of taxes. Sometimes we do not want to close down the companies. Sometimes a company, I don't want to mention names, have employees, about 800 employees. Imagine closing down the company.
Well, now, good stuff there for them, right?
Absolutely. That's how we end this edition of
Looks like you don't want to go. We have to go. Make way for the next show.
Absolutely. TV3 Reality Catch-Up is next on your television. Before we run out of the studio, though, go on to Instagram and follow 3news.gh. That's where you'll find all things news-related, from behind-the-scene contents to exclusive videos and news cards as they come through. 3news.gh is your destination spot. Do well to be there. I am Mawin Aigbeta.
And I am Kevini Amano. We'll see you same time Monday. Bye-bye.
My name is Abigail Aizam, popularly known as Abi Aima. I do Afrobeat, Afrofusion, dancehall, highlife. I'm from Navango, but born and bred in Kintampo. I started doing music professionally 5 years now, and it's been going well. So I know the future has a lot for me. Wind that, pon it, baby boy make it come and run it. Soon I'm gonna be your keeper, come strike it. I'm gonna give it to you how you will like it. I take inspiration from a lot